YouTube, you already know the vibes. 2025, 2026 team win totals for the AFC. Let's jump right into it. You got the Buffalo Bills first up. The line's at 11 and a half. I personally love this because you have the Dolphins, you have the Patriots, and you have the Jets. The Jets are dog shit as per usual. I don't think the Patriots will get to it, but the 7.5. I know they've spent literally billions of dollars in free agency, but I don't see that um, happening. I also don't see the Dolphins being that great, even though they still have Tua, they still have Waddle and Hill. They might have Hill, I don't know. But they're losing people like Javon Holland. They might be losing Jalen Ramsey. I mean, they lost Robert Hunt last year. Just all that sorts of stuff. So like 11 and a half, even though that's a lot of wins, I got the over for the Bills. I mean, they're in a super weak division, and I don't see them doing anything else but running that division until somebody steps up. The Baltimore Ravens. The thing about the AFC North is that I seriously can't tell you who's going to be at the top of the division at any given year outside of the Browns. I can tell you the Browns are not going to be at the top of the division. Um, it is such a toss up. I hate having to what do you call it? Having to basically pick between which team's going to be at the top. However, um, the Cincinnati Bengals has paper bags for defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they don't really have a lot of answers at the quarterback right now. I think they're going to address that in the draft. Maybe a mock draft soon. And then, of course, the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they might have one of the best duos in Abdul Carter and Miles Garrett. They might have, Travis Hunter. They might say, screw it and go with Shadur Sanders. I don't know. But what I do know is the the Ravens, as long as they continue having Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson and as long as they continue keeping, I think Hamilton ended up being safety in the latter half, and their defense ended up playing a lot better. Something where Kyle Hamilton switched, and it ended up being great. And as long as I think it's Nate Wiggins. I know his last name is Wiggins, the guy from Clemson. As long as he continues to do really, really well, I actually see them getting over as well. The Kansas City Chiefs, 11 and a half wins. As much as I don't want to, I don't know how you ever bet lower on the Chiefs than anything. I know this Super Bowl, they kind of got their freaking ass handed to them, but I actually think that could be a reason as to why they do a lot better. So actually, let's just go ahead and keep diving into this. Bengals, under 10 and a half. I know that people are going to be like, oh, last year was a slump year. Like I said, they have paper for defense. I have no idea. I could line up across some wide receiver that the Bengals are playing against, and I could probably do just as well. Um, the Los Angeles Chargers, 10 and a half. I'm not going to lie. With being in a team with, KC, the Broncos, the Raiders, and then what's the other one? Oh, obviously the Chargers. Duh. I actually think the Raiders are going to do significantly better than last year, especially with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll. They're going to have they have Geno Smith, who's definitely an upgrade, and then they're probably going to get Ashton Jeanty. I think they're going to be a lot better. I think the Broncos are going to be a lot better. I mean, they snagged like two or three people from the Niners that I know the Commanders would have loved to have. And in terms of that, 10 and a half seems like a lot. I think it's a coin flip, but I actually think they get 10 wins on the nose. I don't think they get quite to 11 wins. In terms of the Houston Texans, I know they just lost Laramie Tunzel. I know that they had a huge slump last year in terms of CJ Stroud. Wide receiver, honestly, they just lost Stephon Diggs. I know Nico Collins is always doing well. I know Tank Dell always has, some unfortunate it, injuries here and there. And then with 9.5, I actually can't see them getting less than 9.5 just because they have, the Jaguars, the Colts, the Titans. I mean, you have their entire division is right here in the bottom, half of half the league. The combined wins of projected wins is what 13 18 and a half wins through 3 teams. That's kind of insane to me. So I don't see the Houston Texans getting less than 9.5 wins. Honestly, the Broncos, for reasons that I've said before, they're just getting better. I mean, they have, Sean Payton, I think, found his guy in Bo Nix. I think they might address. I don't know if they've addressed running back yet, but they probably will address running back in the draft with somebody like Amari and Hampton. I don't know. But I mean, Cortland Sutton's a dog. You have, like I said, you have Bo Nix. I don't know who's the tight end, but I'm sure they're fine. But their defense is literally absolute next level, and that's the kind of team that you need to have. Just an elite defense when you go against somebody like Justin Herbert, who is still a good quarterback, maybe not great or elite. That might be a hot take, but and then you have obviously Patrick Mahomes, and then you have an upgraded Geno Smith down at the Raiders, and you have Ashton Jeanty probably going to the Raiders as well. But even with that, I think they can squeak out 10 wins. I think they can. I know that the AFC West plays the NFC East, so you're going against teams like the Giants, the Cowboys. I know you're going against Commanders, Philly, but that's two wins there between Giants and Cowboys. In my opinion, you could probably split with the Chargers, and you can probably honestly take 2 with the Raiders. So that alone is 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's only through 7 games that we've talked about. Going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't know why people would ever have a line that's under 10.5 with Mike Tomlin at the helm, because he has gotten above 500 every time that he's been a Pittsburgh Steeler head coach, and I know like never been below 500. So there's been seasons where he's gone 8-8, but back when there were 16 games. But even then, I don't see the streak ever going away. If I had like to put $1,000 on something, it would be Pittsburgh Steelers over, simply because they just do that stupid stuff where they win games they shouldn't win, and they don't ever go below 500. The Miami Dolphins. I don't think 2 is the answer. I think Tyreek Hill is regressing. Not a lot, but regressing. Jalen Waddle, I don't think really has done a whole lot to be, considerably a number one whenever Tyreek Hill either retires or might get traded this year. Again, there's a lot of rumors there. I actually got them getting the under. And, I won't go too much more into depth. Like I said, they lost a few pieces on defense, like Javon Holland. I know they lost Kendall Fuller. I know they might lose Jalen Ramsey, and I know people, unfortunately, like Jalen Phillips, feels like they can never stay on the field. So I got them getting the under on this one. In terms of the New England Patriots, I forget how many wins they have. I know I think the 3rd or 4th pick. They're the 4th pick, and that's somewhere in the 4 or 5 win range. However, 7.5, them getting 8 wins, which would put what is that, 8 and 9, going just basically 500. I know they spent a lot of money on everybody, on everything. I think outside of the Titans, they are the biggest spenders in free agency. Unfortunately, free agency moves don't necessarily, don't necessarily move mountains, in my opinion, just because they're supposed to be plug-and-play people or filler people more than actual game changers. You don't see a lot of high-end talent. At least this year, you didn't see a lot of high-end talent move in free agency. I actually got them getting the under, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get 7 and 10, something like that. I actually won't be surprised if they get 8 and 9. I just don't think they get one win off above 500. We need to have a serious talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the answer. I think they need to find an answer soon, and I think they need to move off Trevor Lawrence because, as much as a pro-ready prospect he was in like 2021, I think is when he got drafted number 1 overall, and it wasn't even close whoever the number 2 pick was going to be in comparison to number 1. 6.5 seems like a pretty devious line, if you ask me. Um, However, I don't think it's that crazy of a line. I don't think it's that crazy of a line. Um, I know they still got ETN. I know I forget where Ridley is, whether he's with the Titans or with the Jaguars. I forget where he jumped from 2-2. I know Brian Thomas is an absolute dog. Unfortunately, Brian Thomas is frankly their only bright spot. You could make an argument for ETN as well, but unfortunately, I don't think I'd see them getting much past 6.5 wins. The Colts. This line right here, by the way, I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Should be at, um, should be at 3.5, right? Should be at 3.5, and I would still take this under. I don't know how you win games with Richardson or Daniel Jones. I'm just a Daniel Jones hater. I'm sorry, and unfortunately, Anthony Richardson either gets hurt or makes dumb decisions or both. So, yes, I'm a Colts hater. Love Pat McAfee, WVU guy through and through. Hell yeah, but I don't even know what to tell you. 5.5 wins. I actually think they can do that simply because of the guy they're going to get at number one. I think Cam Ward is super, super, super pro ready, and I think he has a lot of really, really good talent. And I think 5.5 wins is actually a very, very doable goal. I know that, you know, quarterbacks aren't the only dude on the field. I know it takes a whole other side of the ball to actually have games. I mean, look at the Bengals. I mean, they put up, 30 some odd points a game and would get beat more often than not. They would lose 38-40, stupid stuff like that. So I know that defense is sort of an issue and everything like that, but I simply think that Cam Ward can win 6 games with the Tennessee Titans. New York Jets. They have Justin Fields, they have Breece Hall, they have Garrett Wilson, they have Sauce Gardner, they have that Williams dude on the D line. I know they just lost Javon Kinlaw, who was a really good run stuffer. I think they lost DJ Reed. 5.5 is such a toss up, and it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how they do. But with Aaron Glenn at the helm now and Justin Fields under center, I actually, ironically, think that Justin Fields was a huge reason as to why the Steelers were so successful the first 6 weeks. I think that's how many weeks he ended up playing. I think he ended up going 4-2. So I actually got the over on this. And just to preface, I have no idea if these over and unders are going to be mathematically or logically correct, and if they're not, obviously I have some logical error, just with who plays what and this, that, and the other. But whatever, I'm just going off gut in what I know. Las Vegas Raiders 5.5 seems like an easy over simply because they don't. I know that they still have a lot to fix, and I'll probably make an updated over under after the draft. Which, by the way, follow the Discord. I'll post the link to the Discord in the description. Make sure to give it a follow. I'm going to be live streaming, or I'm going to be live streaming the draft Thursday night on my Discord and kind of giving my reactions and then giving out opinions and all that good stuff. But it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do and what they address in the draft. And it almost feels like Cam Ward to the Titans and Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders are like the 2 biggest locks right now in the draft. But you never know. And the Cleveland Browns at 4.5. It's kind of difficult to know how you're gonna do when you have like zero clue who your quarterback's gonna be. Who do they snag? Oh, like Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. You have I think DTR left. I mean, it's just terrible over there. You lost Jameis Winston to the Giants. I mean, is 4.5 a low number? Yes. Do I think they get to 5? No. So that's my list. I know I have a bunch of stuff here. I wonder if I can. Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing actually. Let me just give some absolute locks. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I would give that a lock. I feel like this right here is one of the absolute freest bets you can put. I actually really like Raiders over 5.5. Simply because I don't think Pete Carroll only gets to 5 wins, especially um, the fact that he's been such a successful coach. I know he's old, but um, man, what's another one? What's another good one? I really like the Broncos at 9.5. I mean, I think they've only gotten better in the off season. I'm pretty sure they got to 10 last year, right? And like I said, they play a pretty weak schedule too. Um, those if I had to pick one more, if I had to pick one more, honestly, it would probably be it would probably be the Colts. Cause like again, who's their quarterback? I could get some quarterback reps in that camp. I'm telling you. But that's my list. Those are my picks in terms of in terms of my locks. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow the channel, join the Discord. See ya.